What's going on, YouTube? All right, we're going to go ahead and jump into this part one of this Fojill guitar build giveaway. We are doing this. This is like a thin line Telecaster copy, but it's going to be kind of sort of like a Tom DeLonge-ish style guitar, starting off with the neck. So basically, I took the headstock measurements, I rough sketched them out on a piece of paper, and then I cut that piece of paper out and traced it along the headstock. Once you have it roughly sketched on the headstock, go ahead and take it over to your saw and trim off the excess pieces. You're basically going to need to sand this to get it into shape. I went with more of a Telecaster look for the headstock just because I wanted it to kind of look like a Tele. And this is pretty much what it looked like after I got done cutting it up. To seal the neck, we are using Gracie's finishes. I got a can of their sealer, a can of their light neck amber, and then a can of their glossy clear coat. I was hoping they would have had matte, but they didn't. So basically, long story short, go ahead and tape off the fretboard. Now, when I spoke to Gracie's, they said if it's maple, go ahead and leave it untaped. If it's a rosewood fretboard, go ahead and tape it up. So basically, I went ahead and I started applying the sealer onto the neck. Basically, you just want to go ahead and give it a bunch of light coats until it looks like the neck has started to absorb the sealer. Nothing crazy about this. Basically, you just want to keep adding sealer to it until it looks like it is sealed. Let that dry for at least a week and then go ahead and sand everything flat. So basically, you're going to do 2 rounds of sealer on the neck. Once the first round of sealer has dried, you're going to go ahead and sand it flat. Once it is sanded flat and you have everything nice and even, you're going to go ahead and do another round of sealer on the neck, and then you're going to sand that flat as well. Make sure you sand the neck heel as well. You don't want too much sealer and clear coat on this, as it may not fit into the neck pocket correctly. Once it's sanded flat, you can go ahead and do a second round of sealer, and you're basically going to do the same thing. Like I said, you're going to apply your sealer, let that cure for at least another week or so, and then sand that flat again. Also making sure that you also sand the heel of the neck as well. Once you have gotten through the second round of sealer and you've sanded it, you can go ahead and move on to the light neck amber. If you don't want to tint the neck a color, you can go ahead and just clear coat straight over that. So this is what the neck looks like after I put some of the light neck amber on. Now for this portion, I am using 1000 grit to rough sand or rough up the front of the headstock because I'm going to be doing a water slide decal. Water slide decals are pretty easy to install. Basically, you just get some warm water, put the water slide decal in there, let it sit for a couple of minutes. I use a drop of water on the headstock to make sure that it slides off easier. Use a little paper towel to dab some of that excess water. Once the water slide decal is dry, you can go ahead and clear coat it. I went ahead and taped off the fretboard and some of the headstock just because I didn't want that clear coat to have a hard edge. And once it's clear coated, you can go ahead and wet sand that because you will notice the little ridges around where the water slide decal sits underneath the clear coat. You can sand that flat and you shouldn't really notice it too much. Okay, part 2 of this is finishing the body. So basically this body came raw. I'm using custom paints. They are located in Spring Hill, Florida, right down the road from me. So I am sealing the body with their 2K clear coat. Now a little shopping list for everybody is you'll need at least 2 cans of clear coat to seal the body, and then you'll need your color. So again, this is B-roll from another video. So in this video, I am using their base green metallic, but basically you'll want a can of primer, a can of your color, and then a can of clear coat as well. Go ahead and activate the clear coat. There is a gray cap on the bottom. Pull that off. There's a ring inside of it. That ring gets threaded through the bottom of the can, which is a little pull tab. You're basically going to pull that tab all the way out until it maxes out at the bottom and then spin the can. There is a small bladder of activator inside the can. I keep rotating the can until I feel no more resistance. Once that's done, go ahead and shake the can for at least 2 minutes. You want to make sure that that activator is mixed in with the catalyst and everything. Then you're going to go ahead and apply the clear coat as a sealer, and basically I use the entire can. That should get you at least 3 to 4 good coats. let the clear coat cure for at least a minimum of 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, go ahead and sand everything flat. Now in this portion, I used a little bit of black primer to show you where the low spots and the high spots will be. So while you're sanding this, you'll notice that the low spots are darker and the high spots get sanded off easily. This is just to show you why you're going to need 2 cans of clear coat. As you can see, all those darker spots where the black primer was not sanded off are your low spots. This is why you'll want 2 cans. So once you've sanded it flat, go ahead and open up your second can of clear coat. Just go ahead and spray the heck out of this guitar body. This will work for any guitar or bass, so just take that into account if you're doing, a Stratocaster or if you're making a P bass or whatever. This will work for all guitars. I've done this on a couple of them now, so 2 cans of clear coat as sealer. And then basically once your second can is fully applied and cured, after another 2 weeks, you can go ahead and sand that flat and start on paint. At this portion of the video, I was going to paint this guitar this color. It is called Bass Pearls Sugar Apple, but at the very bottom of the guitar right here, there was a bug that got into the clear coat. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically long story short is I had to repaint this guitar a couple of times, and both times when I did this, it kind of messed up. So basically I used a can of white primer to get any more of those low spots that the 2 cans of sealer really didn't get that well. So just take that into account. Some guitars may take the sealer a lot better. Some of them might take it a lot worse. This was an ash body, so I'm really not 100% sure, but 2 cans of sealer or 2 cans of clear coat and then some primer. I then painted it with a black primer and sanded that flat because I'm going to be using a white base. And then once both cans of sealer are done, once you've sanded it flat and applied your primer or base coat, then you can go ahead with your color. Again, I was going to paint it this color. This is Bass Pearls Sugar Apple. It was like a bright green with a gold pearl in it, and I really liked this color. Anyways, so basically just go ahead and start throwing on coats of paint at this point. Once you've applied the black primer, you can go ahead and sand that flat again, and then you can apply your white base coat. So again, if you're doing this and you're doing a 3-stage kind of color like I was going to do on this guitar, you'll do a black primer, a white base coat, and then the color. Basically that white base coat just helps that color pop out. As far as the color goes, I like to start on the sides, get all the sides and the corners, and then work the body. Apply light coats, try not to go too heavy at first. It was a little windy out when I did this originally, which is kind of why I'm a little closer to the body right now, just because the wind was kicking all that color around. Then once the color is fully applied, you can go ahead and pop your can of clear coat again. Take that gray cap off the bottom, pull that little round pin out, thread it through the pull down tab on the bottom of the aerosol can, pull that down all the way until it bottoms out, and then rotate the can until you don't feel any more resistance. Shake it up for at least 2 minutes, and then go ahead and start applying your clear coat. Now, as far as the clear coat goes, just do light sweeping passes. You want to make sure that you're getting everything evenly. You don't want to do too much at once because you will make the clear coat run. And if you do too light of a coat, it won't really look all that good, and it'll kind of look flat or just not really glossy. So take that into account. And here was the guitar body after I had cut and polished it. It came out really good. So this was the second time that I had painted this guitar. And basically when I went to go put this guitar together, I didn't wait long enough for the clear coat to fully cure. You want to wait at least a minimum of 2 weeks, if not longer, for the clear coat to cure, because it will cause issues. So this is the guitar body disassembled, and basically I had to remove 2 screws in the guitar body and then also fill in some holes. This whole guitar gave me some issues during this whole build, but yeah, here's a picture of it when it was fully finished and put together. Basically, I didn't wait long enough. I broke a screw off in the bridge and one around the pick guard. Then there's also some issues where the paint was starting to kind of smush out around the areas where I had applied the bridge and the strap locks and all that stuff. So I wasn't happy with it. I sanded it all down. I extracted the broken screws, and then I filled on a bunch of holes. So as you can see, there's a broken screw in the bridge. We got that out. This is what I used to extract or help extract the screw. And then we went ahead and drilled it out, made sure that it was a decent round hole, so this way we could fill it. We put a couple of pieces of dowel to fill in those plugged holes. I actually ended up sanding this all the way down again and redoing it entirely. I resealed this body, so I actually used 4 cans of clear coat entirely. And then we painted it this dark or green metallic. And the green metallic actually came out really nice. I like this color as well, but I liked the other one more. All right, so as far as cutting and buffing this goes, basically you're just going to do steps. Start with 1000 grit, go up to 1500, 2000, 3000 if you want. You can also go all the way up to 5 or 8000. That's entirely up to you. I bought a drill attachment to buff out this guitar. This is a 5-inch. They also have a 3-inch, which I would recommend the 3-inch more because it's not as big and you're able to kind of control it a little bit more. I use Meguiar's Mirror Glaze. They have a 100, which is like their cutting compound that cuts out a 1200 grit or finer scratches, and then their ultra polishing finishing compound, which is their 200, which basically just helps level out and gloss up that clear coat. I also use a little banana spray wax from Chemical Guys. Nothing too crazy here. Basically, you just want to make sure you get the foam applicator a little damp with the cutting compound, rub it all over the guitar, and then just go to town on this. And you're probably going to have to buff this like this a couple of times just to make sure that all the scratches and stuff get out. One thing I will tell you, if you're doing this, give the foam applicator pad a little bit of time in between each pass to kind of cool off. If the foam pad gets too hot, it'll basically heat up that polishing compound and it'll start to kind of like gum up or like create little like hard white balls, which will essentially get caught in the foam and leave deeper scratches in the clear coat. Just an FYI, once you feel that you have done enough passes with the cutting compound, which is their 100, you can go ahead and move up to their ultra finishing polishing compound. You're just going to do the same thing with that. You're just going to keep going over it until you feel you've gotten out all the scratches. Nothing too crazy. Don't push too hard. And like I said, give it a little bit of time in between each one of the passes with the finishing and cutting compounds and stuff, because you don't want it to heat up too much. Once you are done with both the 100 and 200 polishing compounds, what I also like to use, which also comes with the kit, is a wool finishing pad. I just spray a little bit of the spray wax onto the guitar body, and then I basically just go around with the wool pad. Nothing crazy. It should be pretty self-explanatory. And then this is what it looked like after I got done polishing and cutting all that. Now, for assembly on the pick guard, I had to basically modify the Warmouth pick guard I got because it didn't have this area for the truss rod. And then basically this is pretty much when I built the guitar entirely. I had the screws and everything break off. So this will pretty much be the last portion of the build video. I'm going to be installing a gold pickup cover over this Seymour Duncan JB pickup, which is the SH4. So to install a pickup cover, go ahead and sand the back of the pickup and sand the inside of the pickup cover with, I use 120 grit. You can use probably 300 or 400. I think that should still work. Heat up your soldering iron. And then in the meantime, what I did was I took a bit of just packaging tape. So I taped over the posts of the pickup, not the screws, cut that to shape. And then what you're gonna do, or what I did, was I used a little bit of like packaging, like orange packaging tape. And then I just covered over the screw pieces just to make sure that those didn't get wax on them. Get a tea candle, light it on fire, let it heat up for a couple of minutes. So this way you got a bunch of wax. I also used the foam insert to help hold this to make sure that I didn't get wax all over the place. The little piece of orange tape over the screw pieces, and then just go ahead and apply the wax. I used a box cutter to kind of spread the wax out over those, because basically you want to use the wax so this way it doesn't cause any interference with the metal humbucker cover. Once everything's all set together, your soldering iron should be nice and hot. So go ahead and do a little bit of solder on the back of the pickup and the pickup cover. You don't want to get it too hot because you can mess up the pickups. Just so you know, if you apply too much heat all at once, you can ruin the pickup. So let's go ahead and hear what this guitar sounds like, and then we'll talk about this. Alright, so let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you like this guitar, we are going to be giving this away, but there is a stipulation. Now, because this guitar costs so much money to build, and we're going to go ahead and get into the price breakdown of how much this costs entirely, I'm going to be asking for super thanks or donations on this video. So down below this video, you'll see that little super thanks icon. If you can donate some cash to me, $1, $5, $10, however much. $5 will get you 5 entries, $10 will get you 10 entries, $1 will get you 1 entries. You could win it off of $1, you could win it off $10. There's no guarantee who's going to win this. So I just want to make that very clear from the get-go. If nobody donates, then this guitar is going to be given locally to somebody or a kid who may want it and maybe just wants to learn guitar and wants to have something cool and doesn't want to pay a lot of money. Now, this guitar came out pretty awesome. There's a few hiccups with this build, which I kind of hate, but it is what it is. So originally we were going to paint this Base Pearl Sugar Apple from Custom Paints. The paint job kept getting messed up, so I had to repaint it. I had a can of base metallic green, so I just went ahead and threw that on there because I still think this is a pretty sexy color, especially with the pearloid pickguard and the gold hardware. Got some gold locking tuners. On the back here, where the ferrules went in, I used the soldering gun method where you hold the soldering iron inside and then it basically helps to soften the paint. Well, the problem is I held it on too long, so the paint around where the ferrules is, I don't know if you can see that, has kind of bubbled up a little bit. Where the neck went on, the paint kind of bubbled up around that too, but it's not too bad. Everything else looks pretty solid. So let's go ahead and talk about this and dive into the cost of building this. Diving into the cost of this build. So if you want to build something similar to this, or if you're just watching this because you wanted to build this kit itself and you wanted to do these process or steps and painting the guitar and finishing the neck, then thank you for watching, but let's go ahead and dive into the cost. All right, so the kit itself was $129.99 on Amazon. In total, the hardware was $206. That included $28 for some gold Dunlop strap locks, $10 for some gold volume knobs, $7 for a gold input jack, $36 for the gold tuners, which these, I think they're Acacia, are actually pretty decent for 36 bucks, guys. The gold hardtail bridge was $39, which we had a hiccup with. We had to take the guitar apart originally. I had to extract the screw from the bridge. I got some new screws, drilled some new holes, put a plug in, and we're good to go. The gold neck plate and screws was 14 bucks. The gold string ferrules were $8. The gold pickup covers were $12. The Seymour Duncan 500K volume pot was $14. I don't know why they're so expensive on Amazon. You might be able to find those cheaper somewhere else. And the custom white pearl pickguard from a Warmist was $38. Now, the Seymour Duncan SH4JB pickup was 99 bucks, and I got that through Amazon. I feel that was pretty reasonably priced. As far as paint goes, we used Gracie's finishes for the neck. That cost $91. It was 1 can of sealer, 1 can of their light amber, and 1 can of their gloss clear coat, which I did sand down into like a matte finish. Just makes it more playable that way. I like it. Hopefully you like it. If you don't, you can always buff it out and get it back into a high gloss finish. That's up to you. Now, from Custom Paints, it cost me originally $103, and that included 2 cans of primer, 3 cans of 2K clear coat, 1 can of white base, and 1 can of Base Pearl's Sugar Apple. I also tried to do a little bit of fret work on this. I didn't want to do too much because I didn't want it to be unusable, so I ended up purchasing a fret end file, which helped get rid of those sharp edges. It plays a lot nicer now. That was 25 bucks, and I got that through Amazon from StewMac, as well as the fret beveling file. That also was 37 bucks, and I believe I got that from Amazon. I don't remember exactly. I think it was Musically or one of those like kind of off-brand. So just take that into consideration. Other things that you may need if you don't already have it: copper foil tape. You can get it for about 10 bucks on Amazon. Guitar wiring kits, about 20 bucks on Amazon. I would highly recommend picking up just some, even a cheaper like wiring kit for guitars if you do plan on making guitars. Sandpaper, depending on how much you have to cut and buff. You can get like an 800,000, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 pack from Walmart. I think it's like $6 or so. It's in the car section at Walmart. Polishing compound for this, you're going to want like a 2-stage style plus some wax. Smaller bottles are around $12 each. You can get Mother's, Meguiar's, Turtle Wax, etc. I think any one of those works. I like Meguiar's personally myself. Mother's is really good too, and I believe Turtle Wax should do the job as well, especially if you're trying to stay on a budget. Buffing pads. So for the buffing pads, I have a drill attachment, which is a 3-inch. I also have a 5-inch originally as how I started buffing guitars with it. I like the 3-inch a little bit better because guitars are smaller, so you don't really have to have such a big pad. Those are about $15 plus shipping on Amazon. So the grand total for this guitar build fully was $692. That's not including the extra cans of paint that I had to buy. I'm not going to top that in there, but if you want to, it'll be around $750. So take that into consideration. If you are looking to build a guitar like this and you want to buy a cheap Amazon kit, I feel that this one is actually pretty decent. It's pretty stout, even after being clear coated and painted and all that stuff. I mean, I had to buff this out a couple of times because there was kind of some minor scratches that you just noticed on the back and on the front. So I went back through and did all that. The pickup on this sounds really good. The tone or the volume knob on this is super smooth. I like these Seymour Duncan volume pots. They're super tapered and they sound great. Again, the locking tuners for the price, they're actually pretty decent. For $36, if you're trying to stay on a budget and build a guitar and you want something halfway decent, like they actually lock, trying to get that in focus. These actually lock pretty well and they hold tune very well. For $36, I mean, they're not that bad. Needs to get tuned a little bit, but also too, if you guys do plan on building a thin line or like a semi-hollow body, make sure you put paper in the hole here. I did originally, and then when I had the issues with the paint, I ended up not putting paper in there just because I was so flustered with this guitar. This guitar gave me a lot of problems. But she's finally finished, and she sounds great. So if you guys want to win this guitar, like I said, down on this video, trying to keep this as short as possible. On the video, down in the bottom, there's the super thanks symbol. If you want, go ahead and donate $1, $5, $10, $20, however much you feel that you want to donate and potentially win this guitar. Again, it's going to be one person. It's going to have a hard case with it, so take that into consideration too. We're going to have to pay for shipping. So we've already paid for building the guitar, and we have to pay for shipping. So take that into consideration. I wish I could afford to just give away $1,000, but I don't, and I can't. So any little bit will help, especially with this build and getting it sent to somebody who needs this or wants it and wants to jam out on a pretty sweet guitar. I like this thing. So I think that this guitar, unfortunately, you can still kind of see the wood grains. The 2 cans of clear coat I don't think was entirely enough. Although I did end up sanding this almost entirely down to bare wood again when I messed up the paint, or the paint kind of messed up on me. So take that into account. You do still see the wood grains a little bit. I don't know if you can see them in the video right there. You notice them. To me, I think it adds character to the guitar and makes it look like it was old at one point. The neck amber, I like the color. I like it. It actually, I think, adds well to the gold hardware. So in all, I think it sounds good. It plays pretty well. I mean, for a $130 guitar, even if you didn't change anything on this, maybe you add some locking tuners and some strap locks, but you keep everything else, the original pickups, the 3-way switch, everything else, I think you would still get a pretty decent guitar. But honestly, in my opinion, even if you bought a cheaper set of pickups off Amazon or eBay for 50 to 100 bucks and drop those into the original pickguard and just solder them in, I think you would have a pretty decent guitar for what it is. It's something that you can build or build with your kids or child. It's a learning experience, especially building guitars. I will say that this is the 5th guitar I've built entirely. And every time I build a different guitar, I learn something new and I learn more about this. Also, too, this is something I want to add in here. Let the paint cure for at least a minimum of 2 weeks after you've clear coated it and it's final. You can cut and buff it, which I've noticed after a week. I would say give it a week and then you can cut and buff it. But if you're going to put the hardware and stuff on, I would wait a minimum of 2 or even 3 weeks, just so this way you don't run into the issue where the paint starts to come up around your hardware and stuff. That's what I've noticed, especially with this stuff. I think when I built my Tom DeLonge Stratocaster from Warmouth, I waited 3 or 4 weeks before I put it together. So take that into account. Anyways, so if you guys want to win this, go ahead and give me a donation through the super thanks on this video. $1, $5, $10, whatever. I believe I should get a receipt of who donates. If not, just say once you've donated, let me know the denomination and just drop in the comments, say I donated. And then after about a month, give or take, we'll say 2 weeks. So it's currently August 20th right now at the time of this recording. So at least by September 8th, we'll say, we'll go ahead and pick a winner and then we'll go ahead and get this shipped out just in time for the holidays. So if you got a birthday or something coming up, you want to win this guitar, or if you know somebody that has a birthday, or you just want to get a gift for somebody for 10 bucks, I mean, you could win it for 10 bucks, who knows? So take that into account. Anyways, if you guys like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you didn't like this video, also give it a thumbs up. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons. I'm Jordan, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.